Hey everyone, Little Dave's Garage here again. Today's video is going to be on how I remove the rear tire on my 2008 Yamaha V-Star 1100. As anybody worked on Yamahas, they can be a little complicated sometimes, but be what it is. So let's get right to it. My first thing I like to point out is I have this Harbor Freight jack. I love this jack. It's fantastic. It works so well. Again though, for the V-Star, you have to I make a little jig to help lift it up level. I have another video on how to actually use this jack in more detail, but one thing I've really liked about this jack, or improvement on it, is making this bracket here. It comes up and makes it super rigid compared to factory. Okay, that being said, the next thing is tools you'll need. You don't need a whole lot, but you do need some. And if you don't have the tools, you probably shouldn't be doing this job. Anyway, got a 22mm socket for the axle nut, an extension, ratchet. I use a 1/4" ratchet later on. Short little extension comes in handy sometimes. 8mm socket. 12mm socket, 14mm socket. Also have the same sockets in deep well. Tire valve remove, you have to remove the tire valve. 8mm opened end, 12mm opened end, 14mm opened end, 17mm for the other side of the axle. Need a 6mm Allen wrench, and the other one's a number 8mm Allen wrench. Either way works. I got sockets, I like them. Anybody knows me, they know I'm a tool whore. So, let's get to it. First one is the 6mm socket, 6mm open ratchet goes into this one. There's two of them. There's one up here. Oh, by the way, I've already pre-loosened all of my nuts and bolts, but that's just because it makes the video faster. And there's another one in here. That's the 8mm. Then, the hidden one, a 14mm down here. And with those out, you should be able to remove the muffler assembly. When you do the muffler pull off, it is heavy. So be aware. I've bounced them off the ground already. Which is why now with this little roll-around cart, I get my knees underneath, lift it up there. This one has to come out all the way. And then the muffler will come off. They are heavy. I have bounced these off the ground already. Now, Another odd thing about Yamaha mufflers, they have a gasket in here. I've taken these off and the gasket stayed on the pipe and then was pushed up the pipe when I tried to reinstall. Avoid that mistake. Push them out of the way. After you get that off, here's that stud showed you before. After those are off, I take off these two, which is the muffler mounting bracket. It just makes it easier to get this bolt back here. Can't see it right now. You'll see it in a minute. Again, these are the 12s, 12 millimeter socket. Now they're different lengths. I don't know if you can see it well or not, but one's like 45 millimeter long and the other one's 25 millimeter long. And the brake calipers got to come off. This is with the 8 millimeter down here. Get yourself a little piece of wire or holding instrument. It doesn't matter which one you use. Whatever works is the right way. Look anywhere you can and be ready. And two more 12 millimeters. That's why you got to take the muffler off, because you can't get to that nut with the muffler on. Now, I also use, at this point, because I'm going to have to get that caliper back on to tight, I have a little gizmo here. Let's see if this will work on these. You got to spread the pads back out slightly. Some people have these tools, some people don't. I don't think anybody's going to find one like this, but they recommend you open your master cylinder up when you do this. You don't really have to, but it does make it a little easier. Now, next are the axle clamp bolts. Again, 12 millimeter. At the same time, there's a caliper mounting bolt up on top. That is 14 millimeter. Like I said, I've already pre-loosened everything. And it will just simply drop. Yeah, I didn't loosen the axle yet, so bear with me. When you loosen the axle, it'll drop. Remove the clamp. Now we're ready to loosen the axle. That takes the 17 and 22. And then again, oh, this jack here I use for the lower the wheel. Some people lower the whole bike. Some people get underneath it with their legs. I like my back the way it is, so I use that jack. We'll get to that later. After it's loose, the differential bolts come out. Again, 14 millimeter. There are 4. Another one of the Yamaha ridiculous procedures. My Suzuki over there doesn't have that problem. Can't see it too well, but there's other videos on that. It would have been, tire would have been off by now. Once that's done, you can pull the whole axle rearward. Let's take that on the other side because it gets a little, I like the view over here better. You really got to know, keep an eye on this caliper bracket. When it comes off, it'll drop. Don't matter. But when it goes on, you have to have it raised up. We'll get to that later. Also on this assembly here, there's a little notch right here. Comes in handy again later on. Watch what happens now as I pull it off. Put my jack in there. Get my strap out of the way. I know most people don't have tools like this, but like I said, my buddies all complain about me having too many tools. That's why they probably come over to have me do their work for them. And just touch. I don't lift it to do this. Grab the jack, grab the wheel. Let's get a little better picture here. pull it back. Drive shaft falls out all the way back, and that'll lower her down. Yeah, some things go bumping tonight. You put these back together, this spline here grieves the fuck out of it. Also, the gear inside of here I'll show you in a second. Let's hope this comes right off. It sometimes does, and sometimes not. Try to keep it as level as I can so the oil doesn't leak out. It's not coming off easily. So, we get the big ass screwdriver. Well, it would help if I took the nut all the way off, wouldn't it? Let's do that. Axle out. Now I'll put the two back together again. Makes it easier to assemble when I get to that point. And there it is. Grease the fuck out of this assembly here too. Can't have too much grease. If my language bothers you, turn the video off. So I keep that sitting upright. Keep it upright. That's what I mean. Grease the hell out of it. Can't have too much grease. And at this point, the tire goes in the car, and I take it out to cycle gear, and they change the wheel, the tire on the wheel for 25 bucks. Ain't worth buying tire irons to do it. And it's a bitch to do. So, that's pretty much the disassembly portion of the video. Assembly in reverse order. I think we all know that. But some of us forget it. Now, I don't always go by the book. You know, they say, oh, you got to use this kind of grease. It's always Yamaha part number. I don't worry too much about Yamaha part numbers. I just use good quality wheel bearing grease. And you gotta get dirty once in a while on any job you do, right? This is the dirty part. Now, I did clean these splines previously. There's a little bit of black grease just because I did ride it before making this video. So I'm not going to clean it again. Again, Yamaha's better idea. Bury that drive shaft front differential where you can't see it. That's when the jack really comes in handy. Over there, I don't know what to do with it. Okay. That pretty much is how we do this. Now, reassembly, reverse order. Doesn't always work that way though, does it? I'm going to try and see what's going on here. First off, spacer goes back in. Can't have too much grease. Grease the inside again. I hate grease. Especially when it's all over your hands and you can't pick anything up afterwards. Anyway. Reinstall differential. Make sure it's seated all the way. I'm going to have to replace that. Get my little tire cap again. This is where this really comes in handy. I don't know what the tire actually weighs, but like I say, I have a bad back, so I don't really worry too much about it. Let's just get it back in there. Slide, Jack. Slide. Come on. Excuse my French. I'll try to edit that out. Again, you can't have too much grease. I've greased the inside of the spline, and now I'm going to grease the outside of the drive shaft spline. See if we can get this in here nice and easy. It's a bitch. It's a royal bitch. Get things, line everything up nicely. And here's where the jack really comes in handy. Okay, we're more or less lined up now. Next important piece. There's also a little bushing here. Don't lose it. Axle's in. Let's try and get this baby up there in. It's a royal pain. To keep the jack straight up and down. And we're going to have to hold this guy up to get up on top of the swing arm. Let's put a little light on the subject. Never hurts. Okay, right now it's sitting in the notches. Move the caliper bracket up. What I like to do sometimes is maybe just put a bolt in it to hold it up. Not there yet. I think the spline aligned. We'll know in a second. Yep. Isn't this fun? I just thought. Put a bolt in that lower hole of the caliper bracket just to help it line up. Let's get this redone again. You can feel it fall in. Might help to put it in gear. Sometimes it goes in easy, sometimes it don't. All right. Yeah. See that bracket, how it's got it? It's below it now. I have to get it on top for the wheel to go all the way forward. Again, Yamaha's better design. Takes 3 people to do it. It goes up, lay on top, and it goes right into place.